The Brooklyn Nets are currently having one of the best comeback stories in a very, very long time in the NBA, probably almost since the Cleveland Cavaliers come back from 3-1. Now, obviously, they're two very different situations, and one is on a much bigger stage, but the Brooklyn Nets were basically hung out to dry. Their season couldn't have started any worse, and here they are right now playing as maybe one of the best teams, if not the best team in basketball right now, and they have been going off, and it has been for a variety of different reasons. So one of the reasons I want to get into is going to be that really since Steve Nash got fired, what has happened? Well, after their 2-5 start, obviously the Brooklyn Nets said, this guy's got to go, and they fired Steve Nash. Now, the 2-5 start was for a variety of reasons as well. One reason was it was a very hard schedule that they had started off with. Two was because Kyrie Irving was doing his best Kanye West impression and being, doing what he does, controversial stuff. And KD was still playing at a very high level, but it was pretty much the Kevin Durant show, and Ben Simmons also couldn't have had a much worse start to the season either. So it was just a combination of so many different things that just really was a recipe for disaster for the Brooklyn Nets through the first 7 games. But ever since they fired the Canadian Steph Van Gundy, they got a 23-7 record over their past 30 games with Jack Vaughn as their head coach, and they're currently on a 12-game winning streak as well, and they are looking like the contenders everyone expected them to be. They're top 10 in both offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. I'm pretty sure they're top 5 in offensive efficiency. So this team is just running at a very high level, and a lot of that is due to the fact that they got rid of a huge distraction in Steve Nash. But another huge addition to this team is the fact that Kyrie has been able to look like Kyrie since he has returned. There's been no flat earth conspiracies, there's been no anti-Semitic sayings from Kyrie Irving. It's just been pure basketball, and it's been beautiful to see as Kyrie Irving, since his return, has been putting up probably some of the best numbers of his career, averaging 26 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game on 50, 40, 90 splits as well. There's not many players in NBA history who have played at a 50, 40, 90 split. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be his averages by the end of the year, but he's doing it at such a high efficiency level that almost no one has ever played at that high of level, especially not someone like Kyrie, who's at the point guard position and handles the ball every single time down the court. And this is probably the closest thing we've seen since Kyrie Irving was with Cleveland and LeBron. This is probably the closest we've ever seen Kyrie back to that, because the second he went to Boston, I think everyone remembers how rocky, to say it nicely, that stint with Boston went. And then with his first few years in Brooklyn, they were also a tad bit rocky, you could say. But since he's came back from his suspension, nothing but basketball. He's been playing like the best point guard in the league since Steph Curry got injured, and he's probably a top 2, top 3 point guard in the entire NBA, even when everybody is healthy. So if Kyrie Irving can just stay healthy, stay out of the distraction, and just be a normal basketball player, he can legitimately help this team go to the finals at a very high level, being one of the best point guards as well. And the next person I want to get for his video is going to be Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant's basically been having an MVP season the entire year, and not that many people are talking about it, probably due to how distracting and how bad their start to the season was. But ever since then, he has been putting up MVP-like numbers the entire year. He is currently averaging 30 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, 1.5 blocks per game, 1 steal per game on 56, 36, and 92% splits, which is once again absolutely insane. His efficiency is off the charts. He's putting up huge numbers. He's helping his team win every night. He's doing it on both ends, and he's been playing like a top 5 player all the time. He's completely unguardable. Everybody knows what he's capable of, and he has won an MVP before, so we all know that he is capable of playing at that level. And with him and Kyrie playing at this high of a level, and Kevin Durant not going on Twitter to bash anyone on his Twitter burners, Kyrie Irving not going into any conspiracy theories or being racist, and then bada bing, bada boom, out of nowhere, they finally look like the Brooklyn Nets we all wanted to see. And the reason Kyrie and KD playing at such a high level is so important is because it allows Ben Simmons to play his ideal role. Because as we all know, Ben Simmons is allergic from scoring the basketball and is allergic from shooting shooting the basketball as well. Offense is just not his thing, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Ben Simmons is an elite level defender. He can guard pretty much every single position on the basketball court, which is very rare for anyone to be able to do, and he's also a great rebounder and one of the best passers in the entire NBA. So when you put that skill set and you don't have to make him rely on offense at all, and he still only can give you about 10 points per game while being an elite defender, elite passer, and a very good rebounder, that is huge because he doesn't need to score. And when Ben Simmons doesn't have that pressure on him to feel like he has to score the ball, that is when he's at best, because he's able to only focus on the things that he likes to do, he is comfortable doing, and he is very good at doing as well. So I think it is huge for him to be able to be put in this situation where he feels comfortable, he feels like he can focus on him, and I think they just work very good together. And having two elite scorers like Kyrie and KD around him is probably about as ideal of a situation you can possibly have for him. And the last thing, and maybe even the main thing that makes the Brooklyn Nets so good and is a huge part to why they've been so good over the past month and a half now, is because they have an extremely underrated roster. Now, obviously, the headliners of this team are always going to be Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons. Those are the big names. Those are who are always going to be talked about. But who isn't talked about is the rest of the guys on their roster. With guys like Nick Claxton, who's been one of the best rim protectors in the league. He grabs rebounds. He gives you about 12 to 14 points per game and does exactly what you want him to do. Rebound, block shots, and just maybe give you 10 points per game to help a little bit on the offense as well. Now, although he's not perfect, he's not the best center in the league, he doesn't have to be. He just has to play his role, and that is exactly what Claxton does. And then the last starter on their lineup is Royce O'Neal, and Royce O'Neal is one of those players who's never going to be flashy, he's never going to get the credit he deserves, but he's a very solid defender. He can give you about 10 points per game, and is just an all-around very solid player to have on your team. He's not going to lose you a game, he's not going to win you a game, but he's going to make winning plays, and he is going to help you defend and just all around help the roster work, and he's going to let the stars cook, and he's not going to get in the way at all. And Nick Claxton and Royce O'Neal play their roles at an ideal level for the Brooklyn Nets. And then even the guys off their bench are also very, very solid as well. As off their bench, they have someone like TJ Warren, who's a very solid scorer. He can go get you a bucket at any time, and to have someone off your bench that can just come in, get a bucket when he's needed is absolutely huge. I mean, he was bubble Braun for a while. We know what TJ Warren can do, and he can for sure do it off their bench for Nets if they absolutely need him to do it. And if they don't need him to score, he's just a very solid guy to kind of help the production keep going while one of these stars is off the floor, like Kyrie or KD's on the bench or something. And then you also have Edmund Sumner, a guy who, although isn't going to score a lot, he's just very solid. He's very good all around. He can play defense. He can do a little bit of everything. And that is what you want off your bench. You like versatility. And then when Joe Harris is healthy, and I think he just got back from a sickness, he's one of the best shooters in the NBA. He's a great spot-up shooter, one of the best floor spacers in the NBA. And when you have someone like Ben Simmons, who's the complete opposite, it is big to have guys like that on your team. And then Seth Curry is this same exact thing. He's one of the best shooters in the NBA, great floor spacer, and them two together are probably the two best shooters off of anyone's bench in the entire NBA. And then one of the kind of unsung heroes of this roster that you will hear no one talking about is Yuta Wannabe. Yuta Wannabe is having the best year of his career and has finally found a very nice role with the Brooklyn Nets off their bench. He's currently averaging about 8 points per game, 3 rebounds per game on 55% shooting from the field and 51% shooting from the three-point line, as well giving you 70% from the free throw line. So I think for sure it is very, very fun to watch how good Yuta Wannabe has been. He's really carved out the best role he's had in his career, and he is definitely making the most of it as well. So I think Yuta Wannabe deserves a little bit more credit than he gets, and now I don't think he will ever get it because no one really knows who he is unless you watch the Nets play, but he's been a very solid addition to this team and has been a pretty big piece to their rotation for about a month now. And then also they have guys on their reserve, and not even fully their reserves, like they do play every once in a while in normal games. So that's just because how good their role players are and their reserve players are. They have people like Markieff Morris, who's very solid to be one of your reserves. Patty Mills can come in at any time and play if you need him to. Cameron Thomas, we've seen him already be able to go off. Now he's kind of hit or miss. He's either going to score 30 or he's going to score 2. Like there's really no in between with him, but he's still a great player to have as one of your last people off your bench. And then even Day'Ron Sharpe, who although does need work and you probably can't give him consistent minutes right now, if he absolutely has to play, he is capable of giving you solid minutes, and that is the last guy off your bench. And there's not many teams in the NBA that can say 1 through 15 can give you impact minutes if they absolutely have to. Most even contending level teams can't say they're 15th and 14th guys can come in and play at a high level if they absolutely have to. But the Brooklyn Nets can say that. And I think that deep roster and just an extremely underrated built roster is a huge reason to why I think they've been so successful. From their star players playing like stars, Ben Simmons being completely comfortable in this system and getting better and better every game, and this roster being constructed so good, on top of firing Steve Nash and them really buying into Jack Vaughn. I think this team is poised to make a very good playoff run and maybe even to the NBA Finals if they can stay out of drama and if they can keep focusing on basketball, which so far under the Jack Vaughn leadership, it looks like they are going to be able to do that. So unless an injury happens or the drama kicks back up, I do think that this team has a chance to make the NBA Finals, and they are quietly doing this as not that many people are talking about them at all either. But unfortunately, guys, that's my first video. So comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that they are going to be a finals contender? Do you think their drama is going to kick back up? Do you think something else is going to happen? I want to hear our thoughts in the comment section below. If you like the video, point to the like button, subscribe button, and that sort of thing. I hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. So you have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.